So today I'll be talking about metaphors and similes. I'll mention the definitions of both of them, the types of metaphors, the effect of what they have, some tips, and why would you use them. So first, they're both used in literature, poetry, music, writing, speeches, and they compare one thing to another that in a way that's not actually true. So first, similes, they're easier to point out and they're more direct. They compare a thing to another by using the word like or as, and it's compared in a way that you can clearly see where the comparison is being made. Metaphor, they're there to make your writing more developed and fancier, so they make a comparison between two things that's in a more complex way. They're there to there's a symbol that represents something else, so they're basically the same as similes, but they don't use the word like or as. The types of metaphors, there's an implied metaphor, extended, and dead. Implied metaphors, they're not specifically explaining why and not directly saying what something is compared to. Extended metaphors, they're developed in multiple sentences, so it can be a paragraph or the whole text. It can be just two sentences. A dead metaphor is when the metaphor lost the original idea of the comparison. An example of an implied metaphor could be in the winter, the air grows colder. Well, the air can't actually grow, it just gets colder. A dead metaphor could be the thread flew through the needle of the eye of the needle. It can't be called a metaphor anymore since the descriptor became part of the needle. An extended metaphor in there, it's comparing how life to a grapefruit, and it's in two sentences there. A simile using the word as could be he was cheap as dirt, and a simile using the word like could be he slept like a log because you're comparing how he was sleeping to a log because he wasn't moving when he was sleeping. And there's the word like. The effect of what they have, an implied metaphor, they allow the writer to create a clear image in the reader's mind in their writings. An extended gives the writer a chance to elaborate more the composition that they're making. And a dead metaphor, I think they can confuse the reader since it no longer refers to the original meaning. A simile, they're there to help the readers understand by a comparison. Why would you use them? A simile, you'd use a simile to make a comparison between two unrelated things. An implied, a metaphor, they're there to understand in a deeper or like more emotional way. And dead metaphors, I don't think you should use them since they're no longer useful because they come a part of the unconscious, so you don't need them. An example from Romeo and Juliet. So the first example, that would be an extended metaphor since they're comparing it in a different sentences. And the second one would be similarly using the word like because they're comparing her to a rich jewel and there's the word like. Okay, so some tips that you can use. So since similes, they're more direct, you only have to find something that has the same meaning of what you're comparing it to, but like make sure it won't make sense when you take it seriously. So if you take the example, in the winter the air grows colder, to change that into a simile, since they're saying how the air is cold, you could be saying you'd have to find something that's cold and say, in the winter, the air is like ice since ice is cold. Or if you want to change it into a simile using the word as, you'd be saying, in the winter, the air is as cold as ice. Most metaphors, they use the word is instead of like or as. So, if you use time is money, they're not saying time is like money. They're just switching it to is, so time is money. So, in the end, the only thing that they do is compare one thing to another. But the difference is similes use like or as, but not metaphors. And there's an implied metaphor. They're direct, extended, they're multiple sentences, and then they don't have a meaning anymore. And similes use like or as.